All right. Welcome back to Bring the Juice. The energy's high. The piss is hot. The boys are fired up. Today on the pod, little hybrid roundtable style. I got local legend KeeSean Johnson.
First we gonna rock, then we gonna fold, then we let it pop, don't let it go.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Little Ratchet today. And then Nashville Zone. He's still in town. He hung back. He might get a house out here. I don't know. Mac Hereford. What we got? What we got, baby? What we got?
We're thinking about it. I've seen some good land out here.
Yeah.
Saw the onion farm and it's looking pretty good over there. You know what I'm saying? May have to make it a little competitor.
Investors, possibly you. I love it. Fellas, considering we all played college ball, and I think it's fair to say we are old at this point because the landscape of the game has changed drastically from just 4 or 5 years ago. It's a whole different game. Priorities are different. Most recent news, though, technically would be the college football playoff, right? And there was a lot of debate, a lot of pushback, a lot of things going on regarding who got in and who didn't get in. Obviously, you got Michigan, you got Washington, you got Bama, and you have Texas. And people didn't think that was the correct four. Some people thought you got that completely right. Key, I'm going to start with you here because Mac went to Bama, so of course Bama should have got in.
Bias. He got some, you know what I mean? He got some bias to it.
Key, let's start. Do you think they got it right?
No, not at. I'm not gonna say not at all. If a team's undefeated, we'll start with Florida State. If a team's undefeated, they should be in the college football playoff. With no quarterback or not, it doesn't matter. Team has not lost a game, and if there's a team in it, there's 2 teams in it that has lost a game.
Yes.
You cannot have that. It's just not possible. In my whole competitive spirits and what's going on with life and football, man.
Mac?
So you're telling me Liberty should be in there.
Well, you know what I mean? That I see, but you're taking it. You got to start off as a team that's on your high rollers. Like all these teams is up here on the high rollers.
Right.
Starting in the beginning of the year, they got some juice on their back. Obviously, starting off in the top 10. No matter what, Liberty didn't start off there.
No.
Starting off in the top 10, you got something. You got a target on your back, and they go through the whole year of not losing a game. You just can't have it. And I'm sorry, you can't have it. Georgia, even though they lost to Bama, I'm still putting them in the college football playoff.
Really?
Yes, they're one of the top 4 best teams in college football.
Who would you put them over, though?
Probably Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Easy.
But then how do you put Alabama over Texas?
It's the beginning of the year.
True.
They beat them at the beginning of the year. They was floating quarterbacks around, and once they got solidify who their quarterback was and what was going on with their team, what happened? Them boys got to rolling. You know what I mean? They got to roll tide over there. For real. They got back to natural business.
Yeah. And
I'm not mad at it. And that right now, as of right now, I still think they're one of the top 4 teams in college football. So I'm giving Bama in there too.
Max, so why should Bama be in there?
Well, I'll just talk about the whole entire thing.
Okay.
Not just Bama. But to the Florida State. Okay, well, this is the problem. I was telling Frank this earlier. So last year, I think Alabama should have been in the college football playoff. Even though we didn't, pan out at the end of the season, things didn't happen the right way. But if you look at last year, there's TCU and Georgia, absolute blowout. Yeah. TCU should not have been in there. But they had won their conference, and that's what made sense to the committee. If the committee's going to do it that way, I think they got to stay consistent and take the teams that are undefeated. I think Florida State has to be in there if they're going to do it consistently.
Yeah.
Now, what they did this year is not consistent with what they did last year because they're not choosing the 4 best teams. They're just putting in the teams that make the most sense to where I think that there's the least amount of drawback. So, Florida State was the easy scapegoat.
Yeah.
No quarterback.
Yeah.
So you have something that you can say. How do you not put Alabama in there after winning the SEC championship? People are going to be outraged. Texas, same sort of deal after they won their conference championship.
Well, and Texas beat Bama straight up. So
yeah, Texas beat Bama head to head,
and that makes
Washington.
sense.
Washington's undefeated.
They have to be in there.
Beat Oregon.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. So it's at the end of the day, I think if you're gonna, I think they messed up because they lacked consistency in the process. But at the end of the day, I think Alabama should definitely be in there because they're one of the 4 best teams. Florida State, I feel bad because when I saw the announcement or whatever, I was hyped. I was like, damn, this is lit. Alabama's in this thing. But at the same time, it's hard because that's a team that did everything they could possibly do to get in that position, and yet they still don't get the opportunity. But life's not fair at the end of the day. So that's what I would say. It's hard because to Florida State people, I feel for them. I'm like, damn, that's tough. But I don't know what else to say besides The committee chose
That's
what
the
they
same
chose.
thing. Like I feel bad for the Georgia people too, as well. You know what I mean? But at the same time, because they did all this for years in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not losing these games. You know what I mean? Yada yada yada. Showing that they're proving that they're one of the best teams. You know what I mean? You got to beat this team twice. You know what I mean? Throughout the year, and
That's a lot.
it's a lot. That's hard. People learn. You know what I mean? Learn. They scheme you up. They learn. You know what I mean? Bama got one of the best.
It's hard to beat a
coaches.
team twice in a year.
It is. We
lived that
we
multiple
lived that
times.
before, you know what I mean? And we didn't do it twice in a row. You know what I mean? So it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do in any conference, any schedule, anything that you're doing in life. So
I think Washington beating Oregon twice also speaks volumes as to how good they are.
yeah,
Because I thought Oregon was going to win that game.
And Oregon's a top tier team. Like they are top tier receivers,
yes,
top tier quarterback, and a solid, you know what I mean, solid defense. So like that's a good squad.
There was an argument they should have been in the playoff even. I don't think you obviously can't put a 2-lose team to Oregon in there. And then what fair would that be if Washington beats them a third time? Be like, why the hell are they even in there? Yeah. I don't think that's a real take, but people were chirping it on Twitter, so it's got to have some sort of truth to it.
And if we're gonna just make it the best 4 teams on paper or however they want to call it, it can't just be the best. You know what I mean? Like you got to prove.
You have a resume.
You have to have a resume. You got to prove what it is. So, and I feel like some of the teams proving that being 13-0 is just what is it? It's not. It's being undersatisfied in this, you know what I mean, what's going on.
How are they supposed to, and we talked about TCU shouldn't have been in it last year. TCU, they beat Michigan, though. They did beat Michigan. And yes, Georgia, I think Georgia 1 was that good last year. 2, TCU probably didn't have their best game, but even their best game, you can't let that can't be your national championship,
Can't
bro.
come out like that. No,
Can't come out like that.
It was a horrible game.
It was a horrible
not
game.
fun to watch.
The playoff. I'm sorry. The first round was more entertaining than the championship by far. It wasn't even close. But I think Mac, you hit it on the head about it's got to be consistent. Like, what are you supposed to do? What would you say? You know, if you're the Florida State head coach, and I almost called it the gender reveal. I watched the playoff announcement.
Let's see where your mind is.
Boy. I watched the announcement live, and like they showed the reactions from all that school. If you're the head coach of Florida State, and all year we've been in these locker rooms, there's phrases on the walls, there's it's repeated daily, day in and day out. It's hard to win football games. It's damn hard to win football games, let alone string together that many. And they didn't play some cupcake schedule. They did go out of the way and stick their neck out to say, hey, we want to build a resume. We're going to go out and schedule some SEC teams. And they won.
To prove points.
And they won. They proved
what they wanted to prove to be in the situation at the end of the year.
So if you're preaching all year, we're together, we're all 3 phases. And you know, I know that in today's day and age, you got to not only get the dub, you have to almost get the dub in a certain fashion to show how dominant it is. Realistically, there's Bama, no disrespect. I was at a bar in Arizona watching my brother and the Dogs play Arizona State. Bama was tied, I want to say, at halftime with Southern Florida at one point. At halftime,
we were also trying different quarterbacks.
I understand,
and that's
but I understand.
At the end of the year with Texas, with the whole deal with Texas, like playing multiple quarterbacks in one game, like we've dealt.
We've been there.
You've been a witness. We've witnessed
5 quarterbacks in a year. We've been part of that shit.
We witnessed it.
That's
You know what I mean?
crazy.
That is a tough thing to go through as a receiver or as a teammate, as anything. It doesn't matter. So seeing it, like, you know what I mean, seeing the team, they're figuring out their identity at the beginning of the season. So Texas beat the Bama when they were figuring out their identity. Once they figured out their identity and see who they were rolling with, what happened?
Yeah.
The team started rolling, and they got back to Bama football, like I'm going to say again. And since then, I'm not going to not say they're not one of the top 4 teams.
So Florida State, though, the original question here, I got off a little off track. And you're the head coach. What do you preach to your guys, Mac? What do you tell your guys?
Look, if Alabama didn't make it in, I know exactly what Coach Saban would have said. He would have said we did not control our fate. Because I was thinking when you asked this question, or when I knew you were bringing up that question, I was like, all right, I'd like to think about how Coach Saban would think about it. And in that situation, if we won every single dang game and didn't get in, he would be livid. He would be pissed. But I think at the end of the day, he would say, look, like,
we lost one. It wasn't good enough.
Well, no, I'm saying if Alabama was in the situation that Florida State was in, I was trying to think what he would say.
Oh, if Alabama was undefeated and that
happened, I don't know what the hell Coach Saban would say.
I think he'd burn down.
He would be pissed, and I know he would be fighting for the team. Like, I think he would be taken to different, ESPN, whatever. I think he would be making a point to why it's ridiculous that we didn't get in. But I think at the end of the day, he would tell the guys, like, look, it is what it is. Like, there's not anything we can do about it. We got to prepare for the bowl game and got to make a statement in that bowl game and go out there and kick the ass of the team we're playing against,
right,
and make a point. Because for Florida State right now, that's the best thing they can do. If
go
they want to
Georgia.
prove a point, go beat the brakes off Georgia. Yeah. If you go out there and you do like Auburn one year, ended up playing UCF, and I was like, please God, Auburn, do something good for once and beat UCF so they don't have the right to claim the national championship or whatever they thought. And Auburn gets beat because they weren't, they were disappointed and stuff like that to be in that bowl game. Didn't really put that much into it. And then they get beat by UCF. Now UCF goes and claims the national champions. All that to say, I don't know what he's got to say to those guys. I think it's just the fact that, yeah, let's go out there and beat the brakes off of this other team and prove to the committee and everybody else in the world that we're deserving of a national champion, to be in the playoffs. We should have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But if Bama didn't make it, Saban would have just said that the fact, we let the fate up to the college football playoff committee. Because that did happen to us the year that we played Michigan in our bowl game. I think it was 2019, 2020. We went to bowl game. Everybody was disappointed about it. And he was like, look, we let the fate up. We lost. That's just the reality of it. We lost during the season. We let the fate up to the committee and the others out there. And then we went and beat the brakes off Michigan. But, yeah, that's a tough spot to be in if you're the coach of Florida State.
Key, what do you think?
I'm rolling with him. That's just a tough spot and for the team and for the coach. You know what I mean? You've done everything. You put in the work to go undefeated in a Power 5 conference. You know what I mean? You dealt with roller coasters throughout the whole year, and you guys still made it work to where you guys are undefeated. So it's showing that it's not just one person on that team that can make this team as good as they can be. You know what I mean? It's showing that it's a team effort, it's a collective. So it's hard as a coach. It's hard to just tell those guys that they're not deserving of that, not deserving to be in the college football playoffs. But I'm rolling with them. I think that they got to just go out there and prove the point to the world that Georgia cannot mess with them. You know what I mean?
They got to win that game.
You got to win that game. It's nothing short of just shitty. Because in college football, you have a certain amount of time available. It's a ticking time bomb, right? It's not like you could play. Guys are playing 7 years right now, but you can't play college football forever. NFL, you could go as long as you can, right? But with that being said, we're sitting here on a podcast in Fresno, California, talking about just go prove them different. Bro, if I'm a senior on that team who came back his junior season, coming to his senior season, trying to prove something, being like, hey, bro, we could really fuck around and win this thing, bro. We could really go, Jameis Winston's coming and be like, y'all boys really did this. Yeah. Get some dubs going. Crab legs type shit.
He came back.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he came back.
And Florida State,
you know what I mean?
Florida State 2 years ago was terrible, bro. They were so bad. And now you're in the playoff? Florida State's back. Not saying they're not back, but if I'm a guy on that team and we went through winter ball and we know we got LSU, they got some Heisman dude that might play on there. We're trying to knock his head off and we win. Key, we were at freaking Poppy's together. We were drinking tequila at Poppy's. Yeah. Hey, no free shout outs, Poppy's, but seriously, we watched that game and it's what are you supposed to do if you're on that team? Something's gonna happen here. Do you go on strike? Do you
play in the bowl
Do you
game?
not play in the bowl game? Because there's a lot of money in that shit, Key.
It is.
People are gonna be. What are they gonna do? What bowl game is it? I would never do this.
I don't even know the bowl game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Off the
top of my head, I don't know it.
I would say, how could you make a statement? Looking up ahead, though, next year this isn't going to be an issue. There's 12 teams in the playoff.
I take that. I think that at the end of the day, there's always going to be.
They still might make a problem. There's
going to be one team on the edge that's going to think they should have been in.
Number 13?
Yes.
Number 13.
There will never
Number 13 could be just as good as the number 12 team, and they might have beat that team within the season.
It's going to be an undefeated Liberty who's wanting to get in there. Something happened. No one's ever going to be content with the college football playoff. I'm just going to go ahead and say there will never be anyone who's content with the whole entire thing.
I really hope we don't go, though, to I love FCS, how they do the big round robin, but I think it'd be too many odd matchups if you did that in the FBS, because I'll just be realistic with you, Key. If we went 11, let's say we went 12-0. Let's say we go 11-1.
We're not going to be,
and we're we should
be
State 12-0.
We should be in college football playoffs.
We're 12. And I'm to all the Fresno State fans out there, I love it.
Yeah,
bro. We played Bama. We played you.
I was on that.
Yeah, I'm saying like
They had
it
good
was.
game plan.
I'm saying it was great. It was great. It was great. But maybe we win 1. Maybe we win 2. But if you get that thing out too far to where it's 32 teams, you have to win what? You have to win 4 or 5 in a row.
And then how many regular season games are you gonna have?
Yeah.
That's what.
Like,
Well,
bro.
they only played 10 or 11 regular season games for a reason. Like they're in their second round of playoffs right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take away from? You're already going to play your 8 conference games, then your 4 outside of conference games, and then a championship. You're either going to pick a side of we're going to play college football till Super Bowl, or are we going to eliminate regular season games? And I think both are the wrong answer. College, you cannot have an 18-week college football season.
No. It got to be. I think you know what I mean. I think right now where it is it's fine. You know what I mean. I think right now with the
12 team.
Yeah. No, with the 4-teamers.
You think the 4-team's good?
I think the 4-teamer's good. Personally, I don't. 12 team being in college football playoffs. I think that's a lot.
Why do we skip 8?
Why don't we go to 6?
Yes, like you know, what I mean?
yeah.
It's just all the numbers are everywhere. But the top 4 teams, I think that's a good. You know, you guys play each other, and whoever wins goes to the championship. I think that's a good deal. Like I don't think it should be a 12. You know what I mean? 12 different teams in there. I just don't.
12's too many.
It
It's a lot.
That's a
dude.
lot of
I'm
football.
telling you.
Like,
I'm sure y'all played bowl, like when y'all played bowl
Bowl-
games or whatever, bro.
the last
you were
week is crazy.
Tired, like
Oh,
you were
bro,
like,
they're over it.
Dude, you were like, oh my! And in Alabama, we put in extra practices and shit, and we're like, what is going on, man? We've been practicing all damn year. They're pulling up the catapults and the catapult. Y'all know y'all wear the catapult. Our catapult like thing. They like, balled it up as a statement, and they're like, look, y'all's catapults have just been going down at the end of the season. We're like, yeah, because we keep practicing 1,000 times a day. Like, that's what's going to happen. Your body's going to get, like,
has to go.
tired.
That's just natural in a human. Like,
And you're going to get more injuries.
Yeah.
And then you're going to, more things are going to happen. And it's like I said, at the end of the day, you can put 4, 6, 12, 8, however many goddamn numbers you want to put, but there's going to be someone who's upset at the end of the day. So I think the College Football Playoff Committee, you got to come up with a number, whether it's 4, 6, 8, whatever it is, now 12 next year. You got to stick with that number, and you got to create consistency. There's got to be a consistent way, because what's going to cause problems is when the committee seems to people, they're not putting out all the data. Like if they were to put out every single data point and send a packet to everybody, like this is why this team made it exactly, I think that would take away a lot of but they're not going to do that.
No.
But the fact is, like I said, the consistency from last year to this year, they went a different way last year and they went a different way this year.
Yeah.
And it's like you got to keep it consistent or people are going to be unhappy. But they just do things. It's like NIL too. Like the NCAA just does things.
I was just gonna say
rushes
it's just
into
a
it.
lot of different things that's just changing within the natural life of being a college athlete nowadays. Like I was just like how you just said the NIL thing. It's just the transfer portal. Like all the things that's changing within college football. It's just making it harder and harder to be consistent.
100%.
You know what I mean? As a coach, it's harder to be consistent because your players can get up and just transfer anywhere.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If someone, especially with NIL, if someone's offering, oh yeah, you come here, we'll offer you this X amount of money. Some kids.
It's a mix of the transfer portal and the NIL, bro.
It's tough. That's tough to have consistency as a coach. You know what I mean, or as a player and different things that you know what I mean. You have success one place, like say for instance, someone has great success here in Fresno.
They're going to get picked off.
They're going to get picked off because why? There's going to be a team that could pitch something better, a school that could pitch something better, a coach that could pitch something better now, or a donor, whatever it may be, that could pitch something better to where okay, now that puts a lot more coach in a hard place because a lot of his best players can leave. But that's just you know what I mean, him being a good coach as well.
Well, you come to Fresno State, you have a good season or two, and a bigger program sees that you dabble your name in the transfer portal. They are sometimes, and I don't understand the regulations on this, but there's guys who aren't in the portal and they're like, "Hey, yeah, Nebraska's offering me $300,000 to come."
It already happened.
I'm like, bro, you what? Like,
Yeah.
Where's this underground like tunnel of communication? Are you people sliding into each other's DMs? Like,
Yes.
there's a black market out there of transfer portal
Yes,
news,
that's
bro.
what's happening. All right,
Everyone's
coach
like-
told me so and so.
Yeah, it's
They got
someone's
300,000.
fucking cousin
Take it.
knows
Yeah.
someone else's ex-girlfriend's roommate who's like, yo, does he want to come to UW? Like, or does he want to go to Oregon State? Or does he want to go to wherever? We got a little coin over here. Like, bro, this dude's like, he's a happy biology major at Fresno State. Like, let him do his thing. But money just talks. Like anything in this world, money does talk. But right now, the microscope on this shit is through the roof.
What's up, y'all? Frank Dalena here from Bring the Juice. Just got my box from HelloFresh. Couldn't be more excited to open it up. Let's see what's inside. Got some recipes looking here. That's looking scrumptious. Got nice packaging. All right, pork and green bean stir fry. Pub style shepherd's pie, organic ground beef. Ooh, that spicy Peruvian chicken, that looks good. That might be the winner tonight. You got the ice packs in here. Look at that chicken cutlet, that ground beef, some ground pork. The meats, baby, the meats. All right, tonight I'm pretty hungry. It's a little cold outside. Little shepherd's pie sounds pretty good. Each of these little pamphlets here comes with a different ingredients and step-by-step on what to do and how to make a delicious meal. Let's do it right now. Each HelloFresh box is packed with farm-fresh ingredients, and everything arrives pre-portioned right to your doorstep for less hassle and less wasted food. Now, being a farmer myself, and being an athlete and interviewing professional athletes week in and week out, one thing everyone has in common is we like fresh ingredients. And let me tell you what, these are the freshest of all the ingredients at HelloFresh. And believe me when I say this, I'm American, but my grandmother's Italian, and I know what I'm talking about when there's good food on the table. Don't let recipe boredom strike, because HelloFresh has more options and more recipes than ever before. Dig into their biggest menu yet, with over 45 dinner options. And you could choose from weekly or even more add-on market items to suit any lifestyle. Now, my lifestyle is bringing the juice, and I like to get better, and that's why I am partnered with HelloFresh. We're gonna do some finishing touches real quick. And it's delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/juiceboxfree and use code JUICEBOXFREE for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/juiceboxfree with code JUICEBOXFREE. And don't you forget, this is America's #1 meal kit.
What do you think, and like Key, I'll start with you on this one. Like we just brought up NIL and transfer portal. At one point, they were separate when it first started, I felt like it was like, oh, I'm going to transfer schools. And then it was like, oh, but college athletes should get paid. Now it's college. You don't transfer schools anymore because you don't like your coach. You transfer schools because you're getting more money.
That's the
only
paid.
reason.
Yeah, like you're getting paid.
Like you're not playing there and you're unhappy. And you're just like, I'm going to go out there and get more money. Like Logan Fife, I'm gonna use him as a great example. He's a friend of me and my family and Mac. Like, the dude was the 2 QB here. He had some good things about him that he did here, and clearly it made enough noise and spoke volumes because now he's getting
better
scholarships from bigger schools. Like Minnesota offered him a scholarship. I guarantee you there's NIL money behind that at a value that was more than what he was getting paid at Fresno State.
He's going to a bigger program, so a bigger program is going to be able to offer more.
So I'm saying.
I mean? That's just naturally how it is. And in his mind now, it's, you know what I mean? It's not just, or no, I'm not saying his mind, or in anyone's mind, it's in a kid's mind, right. However it is, it's okay, cool, I got this school. Let me get another school in this conference.
Right.
Now I put these two to battle for who's going to give me more money. It's not just like who's going to put me in the best situation as a player. Yep. You know what I mean? Or as a person and develop me as a man. Like, it's not, all those factors aren't just going into play within the world now, within the college football world.
Well,
it's
that's
more
what
of
made college football. It's like, I'm going to a head coach is going to invest in me. He's going to make me a better young man. I'm going to achieve my goals of wanting to go to the next level, maybe win some conference championships and some bowls in there. That was college football. That was pretty much it. And it was electric to wake up Saturday morning and you have that school passion. Like,
all a coach can give you is like, I'm going to give you my all, you give me your all. That's
all it was.
You know what I mean?
And coaches aren't innocent in this whole thing either, too. No. Coaches leave in the middle of the night, bro. There will be a meeting on a Thursday night where this dude will have a logo on and tell you about he thinks of you as a son. And he loves you like a son. And guess what? someone waves a little carrot in front of his ass, the next day, he'll have a whole different color on with a whole different logo telling people the same exact speech. Now, I'm not saying people aren't genuine because that is the business. But that's the business. It's cutthroat, dry, and money and opportunities is going to drive people to make decisions over their emotion towards their connections of the players or the staff, whatever it might be. And that's just where we're at. I do think, and I went on a little tangent a couple weeks or last week on the gram. I think it's too loose. I think it's too loose.
The NIL stuff?
Between the NIL and the transfer portal, it's too loose. You can't just be able to DM players and pick them off from schools. And maybe at a school like Bama, you're like, fuck it, we got the bread. Like we'll collect the best of the best. And this is my Fresno State mindset thinking it, but still, it's not good for people, and it's not good. That's not how the real world it really should work, or it doesn't work like that.
So this is the problem, and I don't know the solution. So that's why like the conversation is hard to have because I'm like,
we're having it.
I know, but there's just no. I don't. It's like everything has been done so fast, so it's like very hard to fix it now. But my thing is, all right. So you look at Alabama making millions of dollars off the players. So if you're looking at it, it's like the guys, like, yes, education is awesome because that's originally why people look. A college scholarship used to mean a lot more than just getting to go play somewhere for an opportunity to go to the NFL. You're getting an opportunity to get a good education, which I think education is being devalued through the whole NIL process. I think like tradition, wanting to go somewhere, devalued completely. You're not going to find guys like back in the day, everyone, there's guys who'd grow up and want to play Fresno State. You want to play there. That's where you want to play. Now it's who's going to offer me the most money. At the end of the day, though, I just don't know the solution because it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to like all those guys like who are starting or stars are making so much millions of dollars for the university. How are you going to tell them that they're not deserving of more money than a scholarship?
Yes, that's true. That is definitely.
But it's like, I don't know how you fix it.
How do you gauge that?
I mean, the fact that fans are coming to the games to support this school, they want to support. They're like, there's fandom is just unreal.
Wearing these kids' jerseys,
wearing their jerseys,
like and they're supporting.
They're selling tickets.
Yes, they're selling tickets. They're supporting that person. Like
you're on a billboard.
Yes, they want to come. You're showing your face for these things. So at certain points, what I mean, I think that yes, it's a good thing for kids to develop making money already.
I agree with that.
I 100% agree that I think it's not that people shouldn't be making money or shouldn't be, doing something, but it gets to a certain point to where, like you said, what's the limits on it? There's
got to be a threshold. There's no rule.
It is an absolute shit show.
It's a shit show.
There's no rules. You know what I mean? And it's like there's no rules. I'm adding in the transfer portal. There's no rules. Like kids could transfer every year.
Yeah.
That's like you don't get a certain amount of limit to where it's okay. Well, no, you can't transfer this amount of times in this amount of years. You know what I mean? You can't be at 4 different schools in 4 different years because someone's offering you this amount of money.
There's COVID year, blue shirt, all this bullshit. Now there's loopholes, bro.
It's crazy.
There's probably a lawyer out there who's damn good and who analyzes it. He's like audits your college football career. Is like, all right, this is what we could do for you, bro. We're gonna readjust these credits or whatever the fuck it is. But I like your idea a little bit, Mac, though, on almost make it to where it's public information as to what the university brings in on a specific program. And maybe you make it mandatory to where let's say we're using football as the example right now. I know there's a lot of other sports out there that aren't benefiting nearly as much as some of these big dogs, but let's use football as the example. Your football program brings in, let's just call it for easy math, $1 million, right? What would be a fair number to be dispersed amongst the team of the net of that $1 million?
So I think that's why they've done NIL and why it's gone so loose is because of the fact they are not willing to go through all those numbers. And it's difficult to do that. If you think about it, like again, like Alabama is bringing in gazillion dollars. Like their whole Tuscaloosa, I'm not going to lie, and no disrespect towards Tuscaloosa, there's not much there besides football.
Yeah.
And there's not, and since football has been there, the whole city.
A lot of these schools.
The whole city has just grown a shit ton.
Fucking Lincoln, Nebraska was the same way. Bro.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. There was nothing there. When we went there and played, it's nothing there. You know what I mean? I went out there, visited a friend, and enjoyed see what the campus and stuff was like, and
and football drives the community though.
That's it, and that's literally what drives
crazy.
The community.
But then if you think about it, okay, so you get this millions of dollars.
Sure.
Okay, how much does the university make off the players? How much does each player get per scholarship? There's factors that we didn't even think about because guys were starting to think before NIL became. Guys were starting to bring those questions up, especially guys who played at Alabama. And like Coach Saban brought it up one time to shut everyone up. He's like, look, do you realize how much money we spend on you guys a year? Because they do spend a shit ton. We got
hotels, travels,
hotel, private planes,
food,
private buses, food, chefs, like equipment, training staff. All the things you get are just
it's
incredible.
autopilot. It's free.
Yes, you think it's just free.
You get immune to it. Yeah,
and we lose that value with the NIL stuff too, because people don't realize how valuable it is to have that. But it's hard because again, the university is making all this money, so X guy is going to want to make money if they're getting profited off of. But then you go down to the fact, all right, if we're going to divide it, how do we divide it up between guys? Because you're going to have a quarterback who's going to think they deserve more. But then there's X guy, there's us out there. We're grinding. We're putting in just the amount of time, hours. Are we not going to get paid? You know, because we could all just quit.
Yeah.
And then it's just like
it ruins a team. It could. It can.
I think NIL definitely has.
And that's how I feel like. That's where I feel like it's getting, because it's like, you know what I mean, certain guys are tier 1 guys, tier 2 guys that's making X amount of dollars. You know what I mean? And what if this other guy is doing just as much or playing
better.
just or better?
Then what?
What do you do at that point?
Because it used to be the market. The line used to be, it used to be walk-ons versus scholarship players.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
A coach, or I don't even know what the tier of, but in general, a football program, if a walk-on is beating out a scholarship player, they're feeling like they made a bad investment on the scholarship player, and
that goes to every level.
It's every level.
Every level.
An undrafted guy versus a guy who got drafted first round. It doesn't matter. Like,
it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You drafted.
It's inevitable.
You could be in a room with someone who went first round. You went 6th round.
That's what I'm saying.
And you playing better. And well, we invested this amount of money, and we're investing this amount of money into this person. So we're kind of not going to just throw that money to the ground and just say, all right, whatever, take it and walk away.
Yes.
That's just not happening. So it's like, okay, cool. We're going to invest. We're going to keep trying to make this guy just as good as we can, and keep pushing this guy back down, because we haven't invested that much into him.
Not yet.
Not yet. So it is what it is.
And that's when the political side of sports kind of like we talked about comes out a little bit, where, hey, a guy could be out, a walk-on boy could out working a scholarship boy, and all of a sudden, this battle, it's not fair because this guy has some advantage. Scholarship dudes, they're battling out. Walk-on dudes battling out. It's who's better, who gives a shit.
Yeah. And that's how, like, you know, it is. And that's how it should be. You know what I mean?
It should be.
I think it should be like that at any level. The best man plays. You know what I mean? And some things can be taken away. Like, I think that, you know what I mean, with the NIL deal, maybe, you know what I mean, some things, or however it goes with the tier 1 guys, what they're getting from certain schools and stuff like that.
Right.
Once you it could be a certain, you got to re-sign that every so often.
It should be.
Because it's like, okay, cool. What if this person's beating you out and he's not, you know what I mean, he's deserving of this, and then that's going to only make kids, I feel like, work harder to, you know what I mean,
Yes.
It's going to still put the competitive nature into the game. Like, work harder, because your life is not just set already. You know what I mean? And
it's adding another tier though now, to where there's scholarship players making big NIL. There's scholarship players making some NIL. There's walk-on players making some NIL, and then there's just pun scum over here. Like
we have some scholarship guys not even making that much NIL unless they got offered a deal coming into college.
Yeah,
and then that's the other wing. That's the other thing
some
too.
Kids
bro.
aren't taking advantage of like some things that are out there. You know what I mean? Like, that's another thing we need to pitch for kids. I'm just trying to throw it out there. Like, it's
like
some of the
long-term security type.
Long-term little things that just take out, even if it doesn't seem like much at the moment, because you've gotten bigger deals. You know what I mean? And it's like, we've had a dude here that made a lot of money that, you know what I mean, wasn't the face of the program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In Fresno, he wasn't the face of the program, but he took all the little jigs that everyone else wouldn't want to take, and the little ones add up to be the big one.
Always do.
You know what I mean? And that's what the kids gotta understand too. Like, not every kid's gonna get this $1 million.
No.
Take $100,000 and you'll be there. You know what I mean? Like, that's
a lot of money, bro.
It is, but I was just throwing something out there. Every deal's not gonna be that much.
If you're 23 years old and you just finished college and you make $80,000 a year, that's really good money. Like,
because like getting into the real world, like after college football, it's harder to start making this amount of money right off the bat.
Use it as an asset.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to become this Wild West thing, and it has. And I think it only is too, because the transfer portal rules are so loose. When we played, there was an era, where you had to sit out a year, if you were going to transfer. So if I wanted to play my freshman year at Fresno State and then transfer to Alabama, I couldn't just do that. I had to sit out that year.
Conference, like
there was some.
It was
a rule.
You couldn't go to the same conference in conference.
Yeah, if you went in conference, like your coach had to approve it. I think some of the time
had to prove
and sometimes they told you to. They said, "Ah, fuck you, man."
Like your coach had to prove an in conference transfer. If, okay, cool, you go out of conference and you can't play. You still can't play the next year. If you go from D1 to D1 AA, okay, now you can play.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was making kids rethink about everything that they were doing. Now you could transfer from, okay, I'm going to Oregon this year. Next year, I want to be at Washington.
Yeah.
Because I was the best player at Oregon and they still have a quarterback. I'm going to go to Washington. I'm going to
They got NIL money and all this stuff.
And they're going to still have the quarterback that I need as a receiver. You know what I mean? How people are going to think about it.
So should they make it to where you have to go back? I think two things. You either have to sit out a year, or is it just a rule? There's no more grad transfer bullshit. It's just, hey, you get one transfer. You could play your freshman season out of school, and if you hate it, you could transfer one time. Doesn't matter if you play 8 years at the other school.
I mean, it's just hard to put that on there, though, because I'm going to play devil's advocate. It's just tough. Like, there's some guys who, at Alabama, it was political. Like, I told Frank about it earlier. We'd have a scholarship guy who really should play. Maybe it's his, second year or whatever. And there's, a new guy coming in. They promised he would play. So they're sitting this other guy who's been there 2 years because they want to play this first-year guy who maybe not as good just because they know that they promised him that. And then the fact is, were you going to tell that guy he shouldn't transfer?
Right.
So it might not be best for him. Look, I never wanted to transfer when I was there for the 4 years just because of the fact, even if I thought I could play somewhere else, at the tail end, I wanted to graduate under Alabama, and then I transferred. But, I wanted to graduate at least because I made a commitment to the university. You know what I'm saying? But for some guys, they didn't grow up in Alabama like I did. They didn't love the university like I did.
Mm-hmm.
What is it to me to tell them they can't go on and for leaving a situation that's not helpful for you or healthy for you, and you're going to get punished for it in a way because you're going to have to sit out a year? That's kind of tough for those guys.
I agree.
That's why it's so many different
tough.
things. I think one thing, if they could improve, look, we can all admit it's just a massive shit show right now.
Yeah.
And so
totally
doing little things like coming up with a way, some people, I don't know who, the NCAA, whoever it is, coming together and saying, all right, the NIL stuff, at least we need to put limitations, more regulations on it, because right now it is crazy. It is crazy to me that you could come to Alabama and we could say, hey, we got $2 million on the where's that $2 million coming from?
Yeah.
What brand deals are you doing? How do they make it make sense? They make it work.
Yeah.
But there's gotta be more regulations and rules on it, because I think a lot of times a guy could come in, are they really worth, a $2 million NIL deal up front? Are they really worth that?
Because I done seen a lot of players. I done seen a lot of players come through a building just from college to playing in the NFL. I done seen a lot of people come through a building that 5-star players, you know what I mean, or the top of the notch players, and they don't pan out to be that person. But at the beginning of the day, they're gonna get this X amount of money because of the status coming out of high school. You're still kids.
It literally is the NFL. It's the NFL.
You know what
You're literally
I mean? You're paying people to do. You know what I mean?
Signing bonus.
Play.
It's tough. It's gonna, and it's like you said, it's a shit show. It's only gonna keep getting worse the longer it goes on.
Yeah,
I feel like
they got to regulate, and I've recommended this, and I don't see the downside of it, because as college football is turning into a minor league NFL almost at this point, toy around with it. Make it literally incentive based, because, as you said, the high school thing to me is fucking crazy. That's insane. You should have to play one full season to get paid.
Coming out of high school, you getting some
if
kids
you're
$11 million.
it's insane.
That is wild. I'm that is crazy to me.
If you're a true freshman and you make $11 million, you're in high school. You sign your name. You're going to prom, bro.
I don't care about going to the league at that point.
You're going to
get that bag.
I'm telling my uncle to come out with 2 hammers and just start beating the shit out of my kneecaps, and we're going to collect the bag. We're going to open up a couple Chick-fil-A's and a couple gyms and
be rich for the rest of life.
And we're going to invest that money into businesses that'll bring us more money, and that's it. I'm done for $11 million at 18.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Not even bro, some kids, their parents got to sign a NIL deal. They're not even 18 yet.
Yeah, permission slips, bro.
You know what I mean? They're not even 18 yet. It's crazy. It's a lot of things.
That should be the first rule. First rule, rule number 1, you have to play one full season before you can touch a nickel. Because why not? Even if, let's say your freshman year, you pull a Johnny Manziel and you fuck around and you go win a Heisman.
Just go show yourself. Prove
Then
yourself.
don't collect the bag after.
Yeah. I'm saying this.
You still got the
I
bag.
do like that concept. I was thinking about that when you were talking about it. It would be nice. Like there should be. I'm sure Alabama has it. I'm sure Fresno State has it. But like financial guidance, there should be something where that money, you can keep making that money, but you don't get to touch it. Because why do you need it? I mean, some people look on the other side of things. There were some of my teammates who sent back their stipend checks to their family.
Yeah.
Had to do that.
I
And
get
that. So if there's some kind of financial plan for them to use some of that money to send to their family, if that's needed, like by all means do it. But for most people, you get all your food paid for, you get your housing paid for, you get your education paid for. What else do you need? You know, like you want to go buy a bunch of clothes and shit. You're 18 years old. Like
It's learning not to have all your wants. Like, you know what I mean? Have your needs and kind of move on. You know what I mean?
Man, college lifestyle humbles you real quick about a certain amount of things.
It's learning to have your, you know what I mean, your needs, not your wants. Like, you
Budgeting.
don't get everything you want, you know what I mean, coming out of just going straight to college. Like, as soon as you go to college, like, you get everything you want. Like, that might make a kid not finish college.
And how do you know how to deal with that money at age like 18? You're getting millions of dollars. Bro, what are you going to do with millions of dollars at 18 years old? You're a kid.
Are you going to be focused on the game, or are you going to be focused on school? Like, you have everything that you really want, and you're like, some kids, you might have some kids think that they have everything that they need or want at that
Everyone
moment.
does.
You know what I mean? Like, people go to school to learn more, to do this, to what? To make their life easier financially.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
You want to better your family, dog.
You want to better your family. You want to better your life. You want to, like, no one wants to struggle.
No.
So it's like, once you get all this money up front, like, what's that going to make a kid go to college, go to class?
Yeah, you're not. That's what I was about to go back to education. Like, bro, originally,
Are you going to go to class?
It's over.
Like I had,
there
some
is no more
people-
school.
I'll tell you, Josh Jacobs came into Alabama, and he originally took engineering. It was too much because it's like engineering with Alabama football. It's a little too much. But he wanted to get that scholarship to be able to learn something, a craft. Like that was his goal, is to get that education so that you would have the intelligence and smarts to be able to go do that craft if he didn't have football. Now it is, I'm going to the University of Alabama, and it kind of was like this already at Alabama, Georgia, wherever, to just go to like make money. But now it's literally, you want to go to this university just to get that bag. There's no, education has no value. Why do you care about education when you're getting $11 million?
It's proven the point that I don't need education to get the money.
You don't. Yeah, that's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying pretty much. You need to be good at this, and you put all your time into this one thing, you'll be fine.
It hasn't happened yet, too.
You'll be
There's
all
going to
right.
be some punk-ass 18-year-old that is making $11 million a year, and the coach tells him to do something,
But I'm not doing it.
and he goes, "Why don't you shut your ass, bro?
I make more than you.
I make more than you. You can't afford my car."
Now you start.
And
hitting
then what
points.
happens,
Now you
bro?
start hitting points to where it's like a coach versus player battle. That's
That
never
that's
gonna work.
That's not gonna work.
That's bound for disaster.
And I don't care if
you know
you're.
what I mean?
I don't think Nick
'Cause-
Saban would ever let anybody like that in his locker room.
No.
But it's a different wave of people in the old school Nick Sabans.
Yeah.
They're dwindling.
Yeah, but that's the difference between like the NFL. Like once you get there, like usually you're more mature. Like you're learning.
There's
you know what I
different
mean?
levels.
It's different levels. So some players are obviously going to make more money than some coaches. You know what I mean? But that's just the nature of
Right.
This is his profession, your profession as well. In his profession, he makes X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
But 18-year-old KeeSean and 22-year-old KeeSean, I
Completely
know them
different.
both different dudes.
Completely different.
Yeah, not both great dudes, but I'm saying
But
like
completely different. Though.
Different. Their
Just
mindset
on
is.
mindset and knowing what I wanted to do at 22 than when I was 18. Like I was 18, I turned 18, mind you, in college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was still learning. Like I'm still figuring it out. I never lived on my own before.
Right.
I never been able to hang out till whatever time I wanted to without my
Right.
parents or my mom asking me,
Yep.
"Where you at? What are you doing?" Like now I can be like, "Mom, I'm at home," and
yeah.
I don't even have to answer the phone if I don't want to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you can't really necessarily tell me what
Can't-
what to do and
can't
what
tell
I'm.
me shit.
You can't really tell me. Yes, I hear you, but you can't really make me
Right.
do anything.
Yeah, I'm
you know
making
what I
my
mean?
living like I'm
Yeah,
straight,
like
you
I'm
know?
doing my own dues, and that's the tough part. So then, how you tell a kid that's parents are still trying to tell them something? That, okay, mom, I done made more than you, dad, grandma,
Right.
auntie, uncle, like you know what I mean, brother, everyone included.
Yeah.
At 17 years old,
Yeah.
And then you got to think about the fact that
no
like,
college.
these contracts come in. So these contracts come in. Some kids aren't even old enough to sign them. So you have to have like a parent or something come sign
That's what I
them
was
with
saying.
them.
Like for me, my mom had to sign my scholarship. Like when I first got a scholarship to go to college.
Exactly.
I'm 17 years old, like graduated high school 17 years old. So during that time of, you know what I mean, signing your scholarships and doing all the paperwork for everything, my mom's still signing bills for me.
Yeah.
Still signing everything for. So the money's not necessarily going to the kid yet. You know what I mean? So
and who knows what the obligations are, and these contracts are crazy. Like I go through a bunch of contracts and all this work I've been doing. It's like I'm older and I still don't even know how like all this stuff in this contract. I'm like I need help. And if you were to ask like, okay, who do you trust at that point?
I was gonna say, is there and nobody's really voiced this enough? Is there a national company or this realistically, considering NIL is underneath the NCAA technically, why is there not another program that they've started that's nationally known about, hey, just because you get $100,000, you're gonna have to pay taxes on that.
yes.
Like,
Then again, if you put that in who do you put that in the hands of? You put it in the NCAA? Because then people are
I'm
gonna go
asking.
back-
It's a
well,
it's a podcast topic. I'll bring the juice right now, Mac. I don't fucking know.
I'm just saying it made it sound like you were saying the NCAA, and the problem with that is okay, because I was thinking about it in my head when we're talking about it.
Right.
You say the school has a program to help these guys go over these
Sure.
contracts, whatever. It's the school. The school's gonna want something. They're gonna be
They're
trying
gonna
to
figure
make
out a
something.
way.
They're
They're
out for
gonna
the
figure out the
school.
way to make the money back that's going to the school.
Would it
Yes.
fall under like compliance technically at that point?
But bro, everything.
There's a finesse to everything.
Yes,
Like,
everything is
no matter
helping the
what.
university. If
Yes.
you're the university, you want the university. It's all business. So you're gonna want the university. The university's
It's
gonna have
all
some kind of
business.
win at the end of the day.
Yes.
If there's an NCAA group, the NCAA is gonna be profiting somehow. How can you trust them? If
Right.
it's a group, if it's some guy who comes a lawyer who's coming up,
Who are
talks
you
to
paying,
your family.
Who is the university paying to run these these meetings?
It's
and
crazy.
Do this and do this. Where's that money going to be coming from? Not them. They want it to be coming from probably the players.
Yeah.
Or the person that's making this money. Okay, y'all let's run this meeting about financial, planning and all this. That's not. They're going to figure out a way how to make it come from the players
Yeah.
instead of making it come from their pocket to put it into their yearly funds. No. It's always a finesse somehow, some way to where let's make the university win, like he said.
Mac, what do you think? And I don't know if you're still connected with guys that play right now, but do you think everybody gets a little piece of something right now at Bama? At a place like Bama? I know at a place like Fresno, like not even close.
You probably have about every scholarship guy, I would assume, is making some kind of money off NIL.
But like $500 or like $5,000.
Oh, I mean, I would say that most, if guys are coming out of high school as big recruits, they're going to be making the bag.
Right.
They're going to be making the bag. That's imminent. But honestly, I feel like because it's like everyone is like a 5-star or 4-star. So I think every single player's got to have. I think they've signed some kind of deal prior.
Right.
That
So where
they're
they're
making
making
something.
Or else would have
pretty
went to a
good.
different school.
Well, I was thinking
And be the number one recruit
Okay, what
at that
about
school,
what about
you know?
what about the like a scout team guy? Are they getting any kickback?
No. Unless you are where I was, because I built a good brand in college. So
Right.
like, I would have made a bag off NIL.
Really?
Yeah. With like social media.
But that's
following and stuff.
because you did it, not because the Bama
Yes,
their
and the thing is,
collective
they didn't
said-
want me to do it. They didn't like they try to control, like, no disrespect to Bama's media relations, whatever. They wanted control. I remember one time someone got a call from someone was like, "Why are you saying this? Like, you don't speak for the team." And I'm like, who's a part of our like program offices upstairs, socials, whatever. And I'm like, look, I'm just as much part of the team. I'm just as much as a leader as the guy who's on the field on Saturdays.
Sure.
I'm not letting it doesn't define me if I'm starting.
If
or
I'm playing
not.
or not, if I'm out here playing 60 plays, 10 plays,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter.
I have just as much of a role because I work just as hard. I'm a good teammate.
And it might work harder throughout the week.
Yes, and I do the right things.
Yeah, and it might work
All that to
harder.
say, that's crazy. To me, that's crazy because that sucks for some guys. Because I would say the way that some guys, like scout team guys or guys who are not playing as much, could make more money is maybe do a little bit more on social media, get good branding, do that kind of stuff. But some schools like Alabama don't want those guys to really have a voice. They didn't really want me to have, like,
It's a
some of the
slippery
people upstairs
slope.
really didn't want me to have a voice. Like, they didn't like that I could impact people or, say things and it would go viral or whatnot. Like, they didn't necessarily like that. But at the end of the day, I probably could have made still a good bag off NIL.
Well, going back to how it's changing college football, like if you're a college football coach at this point, and you say, "Hey, I don't want you to promote yourself on social media," well, it's like, well,
Help us.
so and so you're giving him a check just to play here.
Yeah.
I have the ability to sell myself. And I mean, Mac, I'll be 100% honest. I'm in the same boat. Like, I would have sold myself and I would have tried to get something off selling myself versus KeeSean's getting something because he's making touchdowns every week. Like,
yeah. You're both putting in the same work.
And at the
Monday
same time,
through
his
Friday.
effort, and at the same time, his effort shouldn't go unnoticed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
you know what I'm
Just 'cause
saying? It should.
especially if I'm putting it into myself and I'm doing everything that you want me to do at practice, on the football field, game day. Like I'm still doing it all. Maybe not as high as this one person or these 3 people. I'm still doing everything I need to do and putting a brand into myself to make it work for me outside of, you know what I mean? Just working for this person.
And you should,
you should encourage it.
You should encourage it, but it's also, there's some old school ass coaches out there, and that's just, you want to keep everything in house. Yeah. And I respect that and I understand that, but at the same time, the landscape's changing. It's just changing.
In-house is one thing, but I think it's just control. They want to be able to control every little detail.
I want, and if you're obviously, don't be releasing like plays. And
that's what I'm saying. I would never do any of that.
Playbook and tell them, oh well, we never. You can't do that.
Yeah, so and so was hurt.
I'm saying that like even stuff outside of the facility, saying this is how I feel about this or whatever. Nothing like crazy, like never anything wild. But they just still didn't like that I had a voice.
Yeah,
and I wasn't a guy who was starting on Saturdays. They didn't like that. And I'm saying that's hard for those other guys. That does give me a good idea. It would be a sick NIL deal if like a starting quarterback somewhere did a big NIL deal to pay all of like the scout team defense.
So
that'd be sick.
So the golf tournament, it's called the walk-on tourney. Okay. And the proceeds, they're going golf tournament March 8th.
We're giving all that money to walk-ons.
It's a walk-on tourney.
Are we giving the money to walk-ons through NIL?
No, it's not. So it's not completely NIL.
Okay.
So I don't know how it was at Bama, but you couldn't pay for your meal. You had to pay for your own meals at Fresno State.
Yes. Like as a walk on, for me, like being on scholarship, you know what I mean? Like I got my meals were free. Well, not free. You know what I mean?
Meal was free.
It was in my scholarship.
Y'all didn't get free meals?
Walk-ons at Fresno State.
If you wanted to eat with the team, like they had to pay.
Not pregame. This is like breakfast, lunch, dinners. Weekly, you had to pay per semester.
Like
that's
Monday through Friday.
No, I'm not throwing Fresno State in the bus. I love Fresno State.
I don't want to throw Alabama under the bus if that's not completely allowed, but
no. Okay. You know what? Somebody probably picked up the tab. Like for instance, last year I picked up off my golf tournament the first semester's tab. So I paid for every walk-on's meals for the first semester. This year we're going to do that for the whole 2024 year. Spring and summer and fall camp and season, and then left over we'll go towards NIL. There's a few other things to the Juice Foundation we're gonna do, but I think that's for sure something that should be done. We got
treated better in Alabama as a walk-on.
Well, you know what?
100%. We knew that. Like,
my boy.
Yeah. Get out of here.
We already knew that. We knew that you guys got a little more. I got to tell you when I first met you, you had some perks to you already.
Yeah.
Playing football at Alabama on your resume, you had some perks to you already.
Yeah. How about I love it, Mac? You coming to the tournament? I feel like I got you.
I'll come to the tournament, boy. All right.
You heard that.
You heard it here.
He said he's going to be there.
All this NIL and transfer portal.
It's crazy.
Honestly, makes me just want to grab that bottle and just sit here and drink it. See if I can come up with an answer. No, I'm just kidding. But like honestly, there's just it's a
never-ending conversation.
It's a never-ending conversation.
And I think the perspective of recent college football players, it's unique to hear because like I'm not at all bitter. Oh, I never got paid. Like I'm really not bitter about it. But seeing this whole thing and how the pageantry and the grind of wanting to go to the league and the rivalries and all that shit, like it's just getting diluted off of money and quick buck decisions right now. And like, dude, don't piss it all away because of that. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. I'm going to leave it with that.
And it's just a never ending thing. It's always going to be something. It's going to be something new coming on.
KeeSean, Mac, appreciate you. We just ripped a whole hour of pod. Love it. Subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Follow these guys on the gram. Check out our YouTube page. It's got some bangers on it lately. Buy some merch. Christmas is coming up. We can still get you some merch. You should do so. Get your pickleball paddles. KeeSean's got a couple of business ventures coming up. Be on the lookout. And get your piss hot. We will see you next week.